Hook section. That night, everything started normal. The old guard went on his usual rounds, but when 6 armed thieves broke into the factory, a voice that echoed through Vietnam forests 50 years ago was heard again. Stop. One more step, and nobody was ready for what they witnessed. Main story, character introduction. Michael Thompson was a 67-year-old ordinary night guard. At least everyone thought so. He had been working the night shift at the large textile factory in Detroit for 15 years. Every evening he arrived at work at 10 p.m., returning home at 6 a.m. He was tall but with slightly hunched shoulders. His white hair was always neatly combed, deep lines etched his face. His eyes were blue, but somehow always seemed to look into the distance, as if he had lived in another time, another place. Factory workers called him Old Mike, a sweet, quiet, harmless old man. Nobody talked to him much. He didn't like talking much either. Every night he had the same routine: brew his coffee in the security office, patrol the factory with his thermos, write notes in his logbook. His handwriting was neat and clear, as if he was writing military reports. Mysterious details. A careful eye could notice he was different. His walk was very precise. He never stumbled. He moved silently in the darkness like a cat. When patrolling the factory, he examined every corner, every shadow. He had a faded tattoo on his left arm. Since he usually wore long-sleeved shirts, it wasn't visible. But sometimes when he rolled up his sleeves, curious eyes tried to catch a glimpse of that tattoo. The tattoo was an eagle-headed insignia. Below it read, "Death from Above." But nobody knew what this meant. Old Mike never explained it either. He had an old radio in the security office. He listened to it throughout the night. Sometimes Turkish music, sometimes international frequencies. He would pay attention to English conversations, as if he was waiting for coded messages. That night, November 15th, 2023, Wednesday night. Mike had brewed his coffee in the security office as usual. The weather was cold, wind was blowing outside. The factory was silent. At 2:30 a.m., he started his first patrol. Thermos in hand, flashlight in his pocket. His steps were precise and silent. He started from the production area, then moved to the warehouse section. Everything was normal, but something was different. Mike's nose was very sensitive. He caught a foreign scent, cigarette smoke. Smoking was prohibited in the factory. Moreover, there shouldn't be anyone in the factory at that hour. He stopped, listened carefully. Very faintly, from far away, sounds were coming. Footsteps, metallic sounds. Someone or some people had entered the factory. Preparation. Mike returned to the security office. He wasn't hurrying, but he was fast. He turned off the radio, turned off the lights. He pulled something from the drawer, an old black glove. He put it on his right hand. Then he rolled up his pant leg. On his ankle, attached to his boot, was a small knife. He took it out and tucked it into his belt. His movements were calm but decisive. He looked at the security camera monitor. There were 6 people, all armed, ski masks on their heads. They had entered the warehouse section. They had large bags, stealing valuable machinery. Mike took a deep breath. His eyes changed. Gone were the tired, old looks. These were sharp, cold, determined eyes. The same look he had 50 years ago when hunting enemy soldiers in Vietnam forests. First contact. He silently approached the warehouse. The thieves were working. They were dismantling machines, loading them into bags. They were talking among themselves. "Hurry up. We need to finish before dawn." "Where's this old guard?" "Probably sleeping. Harmless old man." Mike waited in the shadows. He formed his strategy. 6 people, 4 of them inside the warehouse, 2 standing guard outside. all armed, but not experienced. Poor positioning, not careful. In Vietnam, he had faced such situations hundreds of times. Even if the enemy outnumbered them, an unprepared enemy meant easy targets. First target, the 2 guards. Attack began. Mike emerged from the shadows. He was like a ghost, made no footsteps. He approached the first guard from behind. With his gloved right hand, he covered his mouth. With his left hand, applied pressure to his neck. The man fainted. The second guard hadn't noticed his partner's disappearance. Mike applied the same technique to him. 2 men lay silently on the ground. They weren't dead, but wouldn't be getting up for a long time. The 4 in the warehouse were still working. Mike waited. Strategy was important. Those who rushed made mistakes. He never made mistakes. The legend awakens. One of the thieves inside the warehouse came out. He looked for his guard friends. "Kevin!" "Marcus, where are you?" No answer came. He became nervous. He drew his weapon, searched around. At that moment, Mike emerged from the darkness. His stance was perfect, his hands at his sides, but ready. His voice was low but clear. "Stop!" One more step and the thief was surprised. The old guard should have been running away scared. But this was different. This man wasn't afraid. On the contrary, he was frightening. "Who are you, old man? Get out of here." Mike didn't answer. He just took one step forward. The thief aimed his weapon. "I said stop. I'll shoot." That moment in Vietnam. At that moment, that night 50 years ago came alive in Mike's mind. 40 kilometers north of Saigon, June 1973. Sergeant Michael Thompson, commander of a 12-man Special Forces team. The enemy had set an ambush, 30 people waiting for them. But Sergeant Thompson was prepared. The order he gave his team was simple. Stay quiet. We'll hunt them one by one. That night, he had neutralized 47 enemy soldiers. None of his team was wounded. He had become a legend. Now, 50 years later, the same composure was returning. The confrontation, the thief pulled the trigger, but Mike had already moved. He rolled right, sprang to his feet. He grabbed the thief's wrist, made him drop the weapon. With his other hand, he applied pressure to his throat. The man fainted. The 3 inside the warehouse ran out, their weapons ready. "What's happening?" "Who's there?" Mike answered. But this time, his voice was different. It was Sergeant Thompson's voice from Vietnam. "Too late. You're surrounded." Final confrontation. 3 thieves searched for Mike in the darkness, but he was too experienced. He used shadows, corners. One approached him. Mike silently grabbed him from behind. The man fainted. 2 remained. Now they were scared. "This guy's not normal." "Come out! Who are you?" Mike answered, "I'm a forgotten soldier." Truth revealed. Finally, the 2 thieves were also neutralized. Mike returned to the security office. He called the police. Michael Thompson, Kokeli Textile Factory night guard. Armed thieves entered the factory. 6 people, all neutralized. No injuries. We're waiting. Police amazement. Police units arrived 15 minutes later. The scene they witnessed was incredible. 6 armed thieves lay on the ground, all alive but unconscious. Their weapons were distant. Stolen machines were in place. Mike was drinking his coffee in the security office, thermos in hand, calm and composed. The deputy police commissioner asked, "Mr. Thompson, how did this happen? How did you succeed alone against 6 armed men?" Mike smiled. He rolled up his left sleeve. The faded tattoo was visible, eagle-headed insignia. "Death from above" inscription. "Commissioner, does this insignia mean anything to you?" The commissioner looked closely. His eyes widened. This is a Vietnam Special Forces insignia." "True identity," Mike nodded. Sergeant Michael Thompson, 1971 to 1975, Vietnam. Special Forces 3rd Battalion. Death from above, team commander. The commissioner was amazed. You? You're the legendary Sergeant Thompson? I've heard stories about you. 47 enemy soldiers in a single operation. The past. Now I'm just a guard. Media attention. News spread. Newspapers, TV stations came. They ran headlines like Secret Hero Guard. But Mike didn't give interviews. He only said, I did my duty. Factory security is my responsibility. Nothing more to say. Respect returned. The next day when he came to the factory, workers greeted him differently. No longer Old Mike, but Sergeant. There was respect in their eyes. The factory manager came. Sergeant Thompson, we don't know how to thank you. You saved millions of dollars worth of machinery. What can factory management do for you? Mike smiled. Nothing. Just let me continue drinking my coffee. Conclusion and moral: from that day on, Mike continued working as the same humble guard. But everyone knew he wasn't just a guard. He was a forgotten hero, a hidden legend. He fought for his country in Vietnam. Now, at 67, he was still protecting. Duty never ended. It just changed locations. Real heroes are like this. Silently, humbly, unnoticed, they do their duties. Until that critical moment comes. And when that moment comes, everyone sees that those ordinary people living among us were never ordinary at all. Closing message. Mike's story represents the story of many hidden heroes living among us. Maybe in your neighborhood, maybe at your workplace. Maybe that quiet person sitting next to you actually has an incredible past. Show them respect. Because real heroes don't announce their heroism. They only reveal it when necessary. This story is dedicated to all hidden heroes, forgotten veterans, and everyone who silently does their duty.